So have you ever experienced this before? Maybe your car's been sitting a while, or one day it just happens like this, but this is a manual transmission and it is very hard to shift it into gear. Up and down seems okay, but left to right is very, very stiff. If that's you, stay tuned and keep watching. Let's diagnose this problem. So if this is a problem you're having where your shifter is very stiff, either up or down or left or right, it does depend. Whether it's a stick shift for an automatic or a gear stick for a manual transmission, then there is one thing we can actually check before we dive into the deep and dangerous worlds of transmission repair, which can get very expensive. Let's take a look. So I've got some help inside the car there, moving the shifter up and down. So you hear that. So what we can do is locate where the mechanism is that leads from the stick shift, the gear stick there, into the transmission itself. And what we can do with that information is get something like this. So this is lithium grease. What we're going to do is try and lubricate the linkage, because I think that is the suspect thing in this car. It might not be the transmission, but it is the cheapest thing to check first. The reason I use lithium grease, so this is the brand WD-40, but it's not the typical WD-40, it's a specialist one, lithium grease, because it has a nice high temperature support here up to 130 C. You can convert that into Fahrenheit. You can use some copper grease as well, which works well with high temperatures, but I'm not too concerned because the linkage isn't really anywhere close to the hot engine, so I think this will be pretty good. And what we can do, if you get someone in the car there, we can find out where that linkage is by listening to the sound. I think it's just down there, and we can squirt it all around that linkage, because what's happened here, this car has been sitting for almost a year now, and what happens is the rain comes in, it goes into the battery tray, and the battery tray is directly above the linkage or near there, so the water funnels into there and it's just seized up. I'm hoping that's the problem anyway. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the battery out, I'm going to take the tray out, I'm going to take this box out so we can have a good look in there, so I can show you exactly what I mean. Even if it is a problem with your transmission, you don't want to take it to a garage and be hit with a huge bill, or perhaps a huge time expense if you know how to repair your own transmission. It's something you should check first. So this is what I'm going to have a look at now. So I've just took the battery out. You can see the water collects in these little sockets here. It's just part of the design, you know, things happen. So I'm going to remove this tray. I can show you a better look at this linkage here. So now all of that has been removed out of the way. We can see what's going on here. So these two cables here with the plastic things attached, they go off onto our gear stick inside of the cabin of the car. One of them will be responsible for the left-right, and one of them will be responsible for the up-down. You can see this linkage here is a little rusted, and you can see this one here also has a little bit of corrosion as well, and that's just responsible for where the rain comes down and it's kind of, you know, seized them off a little bit. So like I say, you can squirt this in, get someone in the car so you can locate this, and you can squirt it in. You don't need to remove anything. I'm just taking it off so you can see how it works. So let's move this shifter up and down and see what happens. So that's the up-down mechanism. You can see this section rotates here. You can see this linkage is attached to this here. And you can see this slightly rotates on this as well. So it looks like we're going to need some here. We're going to need some in here. And that's how we're going to do it. So we're going to try and get that all the way in those joints there. And that should be our up and down. But because we have a problem with the left and right, then we're going to need to do the left and right and really lubricate that one. So this one looks like our culprit here in this situation. So here's the left right, look, very stiff, very stiff. So the left and right is pulling this up and down inside the transmission there. You can see this is rotating back and forth. And also this has a little bit of rotation as well. So we're going to get that there. We're going to get that there. And we're going to see if we can... Since I have everything off, I might as well cover it all, right? Alright. So you see how loose that is now. Remember when we were in the car earlier? It was so stiff. So with all that being said, if your car does have a leak and you do suspect a leak, make sure you get this fixed as soon as possible. It could just be the gear stick one day, but the next day it could be your electrics. You just never know. So do get this repaired and don't hold off on that. So let's give it a go then. So up and down, still good. Left and right. Looks a lot better, doesn't it? It was so stiff before. So as I drive around, I imagine the grease is gonna seep into it a little more, but to be honest, this looks really nice now. The car has been sitting for just over a year, I think it is now, so these things do happen. We've got to do a complete fluid change of everything, so it's just the process of leaving a car sitting. If you leave a car sitting, I'm going to make a video on that. I'll try and remember to link it below when it's ready, and it's going to teach you everything you need to know to prepare your car for winter, or if you're going to the military or anything like that. So stay tuned for that video. It's coming very soon. I hope this tip helped you. I hope it is your problem and it's nothing major with the transmission, but it is a very cheap thing to check before you delve any further into the issue. Okay guys, take care and I'll see you in the next one.